Okay, hi Helen, and welcome to our Zoom call. Really been excited about having our call today. I know we've been talking about this for a little while, and aligning our diaries and things that have been going on has been quite challenging. So just before we get started, anyone who's not familiar, my name's Helen Frank. I look after support in the UK, primarily at NES Health, and I have the honour today of welcoming Helen King, who's one of our NES practitioners, onto the call. I've known Helen, goodness, probably 5 years. Yeah, I think I vaguely remember you bounding into the training room 5 years ago, and we were like, whoa, what just happened? And this bundle of energy flew in the door. And, it was like, you were just such a breath of fresh air because you just came with so much energy, so much commitment. You wanted to know everything, if I remember rightly.
Still do, to your horror, probably.
Yeah, but I know at the time, and we've spoken about this, when you first came into, into NES, you were working, I think, 7 days a week. I don't know how many clients you were seeing at that time. I mean, I think you were working more with sort of massage at that time, weren't you?
Yeah.
Which anyone who works with massage knows what a physical, job that actually is, or career that actually is. So I'll let you introduce yourself a little bit, but what I really wanted to sort of get everyone to understand is when you saw the NES system, and then you sort of you came along and found out more about it, how it could work with you, how that's actually made a difference to your overall life, and your work-life balance, really.
So how has it made a difference to my overall life? Here I am sitting at home with my dogs, able to do this. And literally, although it's taken us about a year to get it in the diary, it's made a huge difference. I think, yeah, I mean, it was about 5 years ago. Well, it was over 5 years ago when I got the NES system. But prior to that, I've been doing sports massage, scalar therapy, low-level laser, for humans and animals. And probably back in, I don't know, 2010, I knew that I didn't want to do massage forever. I knew that it was a very, you come in, I fix you, and you go away. And I'm like, I knew there was something more. So I had looked at sort of several systems, had them on trial, and was sort of preparing to sort of make the decision on which one to go for. We had the NES system for 2 months on trial. I said to everybody, within don't blow smoke up, don't tell me it's great if it's not, because I haven't paid a penny yet, or just a small amount. And so your honest feedback will be appreciated. And within a week, I'm like, I'm all in. This is it. So, and I knew always, that we needed to get to the cause of the cause of the cause. And I'd done various courses and various devices trying to achieve that. And they all had played a really good part. But this overnight pretty much was a game changer.
Can I just interrupt a minute there? Is it kind of like, and I've heard people say this expression before, it was kind of like it's almost like the missing link.
Completely.
Yeah, and it's like that, almost like that last piece in the jigsaw puzzle, isn't it? Because you've gone off and you've done this course, you've done that course. Because I think most people who work in health and wellness are always looking to better themselves and to help, primary aim of helping their clients. So always striving to find out, okay, what else is, and what else can I support people with? And sometimes you can get to the point where you've got so many modalities that you're working with, you actually don't know which one to go with.
And I always have, and I always will refer on. I'm not a nutritionist. I did it for a year, found it boring, but there's many people that are brilliant, and it's such a great part of a package. I've tried all sorts of various things, and I will always refer on to people where I feel that they will be of more benefit. So I think what NES gave me very immediately was just the results, very quickly, very obviously, but the insight to what's going on under the bonnet. And sometimes the body, it isn't, clients come in with a symptom, and some of the courses I did, I mean, you'd be there 2 hours taking and tell me what happened when you were 5, and then really, and all about your lifestyle. And, this is literally, it takes the therapist out of the way. If I've just done a course on this, it's like a little bit, my clients for the following week would go, have you just done a new course? And I'm like, no, what makes you think that? Because everybody was getting a little bit of this. But it takes me out of the way. It means that my bias, what I bring to the table, my stuff doesn't come with me. It's just literally a snapshot in time, a completely unbiased, nothing in between the client and the truth of where they're at to get in the way. And it literally isn't always what you feel, what you think. So clients would be coming in to see me, and I knew, as I say, with the scanner, the massage, the lights, all the other stuff I did, I'd say to them, look, do you want to try this? Do you want to try? No, just beat me up, Helen. And I'm like, okay, well, I'll see you next week and you can pay my rent. Well done. I'll see you every week for the rest of your entire life if that's what you want. But ultimately, people were coming back going, well, that it's weird. I've never told you this, Helen, but this was a thing I thought I had to live with. I'd had it for so long that I'd forgotten it was even a thing. This has changed. This has shifted. Horses would change immediately. Dogs would be, and I also have to be careful not to overpromise and under-deliver, because there are so many of those stories, my own animals included. I do say to people, give me 6 months. We're turning the Titanic sometimes. You didn't get to this state in a day. So just because we can make sort of, these little drops are miraculous, but don't always expect that. So I have to be very careful to sort of, minimize my enthusiasm sometimes as to what can be achieved, and say, look, give us 6 months and you will be a different person in 6 months. That I can promise you. And the horses and the dogs and the cats, it's often because they also, how can we do a consultation without anything other than the client's story? And every client's got a story about their horse. Oh, well, their dog, oh, he was a rescue, he was this, he was that. The horses are top competition animals. A lot of them are shut down. They don't give you very many clues, so it was just immediately obvious that, and it wasn't like I'm going to throw myself into this. It was just a case of I scanned everything that moved in the first couple of months to say, come on, let's just see what this is capable of. And as I said, I'd had some very, very good quality other devices on loan for a couple of months prior. I couldn't. It wasn't, the ease of use wasn't there, and I felt that there was not that sort of instant understand. This was just really organic and very, and plus with the My Health too, I was already working with the scanner, so I was able to just adapt that. With the animals, the beauty of that is you can work off body, so there was just so many. There's so many things that I've been sort of darking your door and wanting to know everything ever since.
No, absolutely. And I love people who want to know everything, because it actually pushes my boundaries as well, which is always good, because we need to have our boundaries pushed from time to time. So, but just kind of want to go back a little bit. And obviously, I think when we first met you, I think a lot of the work you were doing was with massage. But I mean, you've really developed another business outside of this, haven't you? With your, with the working in the equine marketplace.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, a lot of the time, everything we do, everything I've always trained in since I've been, a therapist, I've always trained for the dogs or the horses, mainly for the benefit of my own animals, so that I'm able to maintain their health. And none of them have really ever seen the vet, so basically, people would ask, can you come and treat that thing that you just did on me, would that work on you? Would that work on my animal? And I'm like, of course, let's try, let's be curious, let's see. And, the results were palpable. But I think a lot of the time you can have the best vets in the world and the best tests and everything. And sometimes the vets just don't know. And they'll be the first to say that. The trouble is, you probably spent £12,000 or £5,000 on tests to get that. I don't know. And sadly, for some of the dogs that I've seen as well, by the time they've had that many tests and been poked and prodded, they don't want anyone near them. You've got a dog that is now, you can't go near, they're shaking. You can't get near them. Even if I wanted to work with the lights or the whatever, the little things I did, I couldn't, you've got to, this is so non-invasive. And actually, you can get under the bonnet very quickly. And as I say, the amount of money that is spent on, we always work with vets anyway, by the way. We always need vets' permission to treat an animal. That's just that's protection of the animal, because the animals can't make that decision, so we have to protect them. We also have to, work alongside a lot of other professionals, but sometimes, after, with the best will in the world, they get to a point where they're like, well, it's like, we don't know what else to do. There's nothing else we can throw at it. And then we can come along and, within a month, and as I say, there's lifestyle changes as well, which we can gather from the information in the scan. And I'm just always saying, just be open-minded, just be curious, just try it. You'll soon get your answers.
Yeah. Sorry, I want to just want to interrupt a little. Just want to pick on something that you said, that often by the time you get to meet the animal, the horse, the dog, the cat, one of the things that they've been through, they've been through various tests, and you're right. So as soon as somebody that is like, I don't know this person, they come anywhere near you, they're like, oh, hang on, just get me out of here, because they've got so much trauma, which is then sort of starting to compound down, hasn't it? So I think one of the things that we have spoken about with the NES system is so unique, is that you can get to the root cause very, very quickly and start to relax and to clear those memories, those traumas.
Completely. Yeah. I mean, for any animal you work with, if an animal's in fight or flight, it's not going to heal. If you're under stress, your sympathetic nervous system is running the show. It's survival. It doesn't matter if it's low-grade chronic stress from your living environment, the work you're doing, or even treatment. Injections and things are invasive. Whether it's sort of going to the vet. I know clients can't even get their cats in the basket to go to the vets. There's that sort of meme of the dog, like park or vets, park or vets, park. But now the dogs won't go in the car. They're shaking because this is it's so beautiful. It's so non-invasive. By the time, I often feel, I do laugh half the time when I'm treating, just because I look like I might just be hanging around just doing nothing. But it's like, and horses have a huge energy field. They can pick up, and look, we're just barge in the stable and get back, get out, go back, open the thing, jab, stand up, pull his leg, twitch it. And that's in the name of healing it, and so that's sometimes got to be done. Sometimes that has to be done for the sake of the animal. We can't always do everything, sort of like kumbaya. Sometimes a horse or a dog, if a dog's been, hurt or whatever, run over, they've got to go and have treatment. But this is just a way of, I have my scanner, literally, I have it in my hand. And, if I can get to a horse and just like stroke it and say, hi, how you doing? They don't even know they've been scanned. I've got my phone here, I've got my scanner here, and I'm like, there's a good boy. And literally they're scanned, 10 seconds, we're done. I go out, I'll have a look at what's going on. Meanwhile, I'll put my health on, emotional stress release. That can be working whilst I'm looking at the scan, and literally you'll see the horse just going, oh, and you get the dribbly lips, and you are then able to put a horse or a dog or a cat into parasympathetic nervous system, rest, digest, and heal. And if I can only leave an animal more relaxed than when I left, their body is able to then do the job. It's literally flipping that so that they're out of that stress zone. And I don't need to get near them. And lots of people will say, like, come here, doggy, sit down, sit. And I'm like, listen, let's just, once I've scanned, I'm just going to sit here with the My Health, and I'm going to program the ERs and the acupuncture points into the My Health, and I'm just going to sit. It's giving off the information, and the dogs are sort of like this, and then half the time they'll come and sit on it with their paw. but it's not a case of come here, Fido, you will be treated. And I think with that, that has just been the easiest thing, because also, you know, if you're working with sharp competition horses, you know, you better go in there and you better let them know pretty quickly that you're not in there. You don't want anything from them. They don't need to do anything. They can just chill. Yeah. And they will often then sort of present to you the piece or the part of the body where they want work, or you just do the whole thing off body. The infoceuticals you can drop down the back, or you can put in the water, put in the feed. Yeah. I've not, as I say, I've tried many things, and it's either involved wrapping things around, or I've got, you know, sort of 20 grand lasers where you've got to hold a thing, you've got a big battery, you've got a thing over here, you've got to get under there because that's where the cut is, and then you've got a horse that someone then goes by with a wheelbarrow with Radio 1 on, and the horse jumps, and it's, you know, there's an awful lot of things that are brilliant, but just this is just takes the prize for being the most easy thing to work with and the most effective. I do a lot of other things, but this will not interact with any medication. It won't interact with any, you know, there's nothing that you can't combine it with. So whatever your modality is, you know, whether I do emmet therapy or acupressure or the light therapy, there is nothing that I wouldn't use this for, because why wouldn't I want that information to start with?
Yeah, that's the thing about it, isn't it? I remember, I mean, I'm not a horsey type of person, even though, you know, my daughter had horses, well, was riding from the age of 5, and now she's in her 30s. But so I was around horses a lot. I was never that comfortable around horses, if I'm honest. So I got invited to a beautiful stables. I think it was in Northamptonshire somewhere, anyway, or wherever it was. And I sort of rocked up, and they wanted me to show them how it was going to work. So I wasn't. The great thing was I actually passed them the groom the actual scanner, and I stood outside of the stable because I wouldn't have been comfortable being in the stable. And it just worked so well. And when we were using the My Health and using them on those different acupuncture points with the My Health, this little dog was literally just running around, and I said, I think dog can help. She said, can you scan the dog as well? Absolutely. Why would I not? I'm already here. And literally within 2 minutes of using the My Health on that little doggy, it was like just so chilled. And they rang me the next day. This is like a different dog.
Yeah.
You know, the horse. They've seen improvements to the horse or the horses.
Yeah.
The big thing for them was the dog. They couldn't believe it.
I love that, and it's my favorite thing is the cynical husbands. I think I have a lot of husbands going, don't bring that witch to the door, she's going to introduce and they like, what is she on about now? But I love a cynical husband, because when their dog that they know and I don't know at all is different within 2 minutes of you not even starting the treatment. There was one dog who you know, I went to see her for anxiety, and you know, I scanned her. She was hiding under the table, and I left her there whilst I was looking at her scan. I just put the My Health on in the middle of the kitchen floor, and I was literally just like, you know, having a look at the scan. And the husband came in and was like, what have you done to my dog? And I was like, sorry, nothing. And he was like, what have you done to my dog? And this dog was literally just, when she started panting, because she had this, it was a trigger, and a very young dog had a bit of an fireworks sort of experience that just triggers a whole lot of like 6-7 hours of panting like daily, which cannot be good for the system, you know, to be in that stress for that long. And the dog was just like not panting, flat out, and I hadn't even started the treatment. I was just doing, you know, and the beauty of it is, as you mentioned, now we have the scanner which can work remotely. A lot of this is why I'm here today, is a lot of the time I don't even need to visit the yard anymore. You know, if the very least the owner can buy a scanner, then they scan their own horses. If they feel that horse isn't right, they haven't got to phone me and say, Helen, can you come stand? I'm like, no, I'm busy. You know, I'll see you in 3 days minimum. They can scan their horse, get an immediate snapshot of what's going on, or their dog, or they're worried about their cat's been sort of acting weirdly. They can send off for the infoceuticals immediately. if they have a My Health, I upload the ERs to their My Health remotely, and that horse is having treatment within 15 minutes. We do that in America and Germany and Ireland and Spain. You know, I don't even need, I mean, you know, I have a core group of clients that I visit, and we do sort of, you know, regular visits, and they get the full Monty, but it's not necessary. And to have that up your sleeve as an animal owner, you know, to go, well, let's just see, you know, let's just have a look. You know, you've still got the option to go to the vet, which obviously is always the first port of call if you're worried. But if you are sort of, I'm not quite, I just want to have a look, or let's just see how we can help this horse, because the vet's been out, we know what's going on, we just want to speed up the recovery. Okay, well, they'll just WhatsApp me, what's the program? And I say, well, just try this, this, and this, do this every day for a week and see how you go on. Buy a little pot of Rejuve, you know, Bob's your uncle. Yeah. So that it really does open up and free up time, because a lot of the reason when I had the human clinic, I couldn't get to see the horses because I would have to take like a day out of clinic, which was just not financially viable, you know. And now I can sort of book a consult in the evening if they want to sort of discuss what's going on. After clients have worked with you for a length of time, if you've explained how you interpret that information, a lot of them can do it themselves and just go, what do you think? I want 4 pharmaceuticals. What do you reckon? And I'm like, well, yeah, and off we go. So
it's really interesting, isn't it? Because, you know, obviously with the way technology has moved on, and you know, you just covered the fact that you can, you know, you have clients in different continents. You don't need to physically be there.
Yeah.
You know, and I know there's quite a few of your clients have bought, you know, the My Health device, which obviously is an investment. But it's, you know, when you're looking at supporting your animals and yourself, it's a very small investment, really.
I just say it's an investment. I have loads of clients who bought the My Health. Every professional yard, some of them have two for traveling. My Health for the home. A lot of them have their own My Health, and I say, well, the horses are going off competing, give it. I couldn't live without it, you know. So they're like, well, they're going to have to buy another one for the horses then. Okay, well, what about it? So the one thing about the My Health is, yes, and it's an investment. I've also got a list of people who can't afford it, and they're like, let me know when you've got a second-hand one, Helen. And I could be going around going, oh, I've got a second-hand. I never get a second-hand My Health because they don't ever come up, because no one ever can live without it. Even if they never scanned, it's like you go, okay, it's fairly idiot proof. It's like, if I, you know, after sport, I'll press after sport. If I want to chill, I'll press chill. I mean, I provide lifetime training, you know, and support if you buy My Health through me. So you're never stuck. You don't want to take it all in on one day, but you use it a little bit more, you'll understand it a little bit better each time, and then you're off. But they don't come up because people are like, oh no, I couldn't possibly give it to my horses. I need to buy them another one. So, I mean, and when you consider, I mean, the one thing when I was in horses professionally, like 25 years ago, I then obviously veered off and went into sort of human therapies and all the rest of it. And then really getting back into, you know, much more on the professional scene of the equestrians, like the last few years. The one thing I've noticed is literally the vets are out so often. It's like, you know, inject this, inject that, and it's like, please compare your vet's bill to, you know, this, and this is a lifetime purchase. They don't go wrong. If 2 horses have smashed screens, we've got them repaired very quickly, very reasonably, and yeah, I mean, it's something that once you have it, you'll use it for your dog, your cat, your baby, your husband, yourself, you know, your family. It becomes something that I don't think people consider once.
I know, it's funny, isn't it? I know when I first got mine all those years ago, and it's like anyone sort of came within a couple of feet of me, oh, try this out, you know, and it was like, what is it? I said, oh, I've got no idea, but just let's try it anyway, see what happens. And they're like, and I said, no, it's based on frequencies, and it's like, you know, it's going to heal. And we, you know, I saw some amazing transformations, and there's like, wow, this is incredible, you know. So sometimes you just have to, be open-minded to trying these new things. Just let me take you back. Obviously, you're, you know, when we first met you, you had a clinic, you had all those overheads.
Yep, £900 a month. Yeah.
You don't have your clinic anymore, do you? In terms of a building, a
No,
treatment room.
no, don't need it.
Yeah. So everything's now. I know, obviously, with the horse, more local clients, you go and visit the horses, don't you? But
I'll go anywhere, pay my travel. I'm literally going to Germany in a couple of weeks.
Oh wow.
Yeah, treat a couple of horses. I'm just trying to get over my fear of being a passenger, because I've got a phobia about being driven on. But yeah, so we're trying to negotiate that. But I'm going to go out to see a couple of horses that will just really benefit from this whole. And whilst I'm there, if the yard are open to it, I will teach whoever wants to know. I'm like, please come along. I'll spend as much time as you want whilst I'm there, so that you don't have to pay for me to go to Germany again. As much as I'd love to, but I will teach the grooms, I will teach the riders, I will teach the owners. I will spend the time so that they understand. I'm not just going in and oh, the horse just seems better, Helen's just done her thing. If people want me to do that, you don't have to have an understanding of this. People are like, oh, I need to understand the scan. I'm like, well, actually, you could just buy the pharmaceuticals, and that all Peter Fraser's, professor of traditional Chinese medicine and acupressure and being the best energy doctor in the world, that his brain is all in the software. So you don't have to understand it. You could just give the pharmaceuticals and it would still work just as well. If you want to, I am open to giving you as much as I understand, because the more you take it on and embrace it, the more you will benefit, the more the horses will benefit. And even if the horses, like, top competitions, they're like Formula One cars, they need to recover. If you can recover after 2 rounds of like jumping, then you can, or the cross country event or whatever, you can go out the next day and perform better. If you can add to that horse's life by maintaining a good sort of state of mind, and teaching the grooms it should be the thing that you reach for. If in any doubt, we can help them with the transport. So when they go, horses are not meant to be 6 foot off the ground going 60 miles an hour for 4 days, which is what they do regularly. Wow. We can help rebalance where they are. They're meant to be sort of like, walking along and in touch with the earth. So there's so many things and you must know, you're extremely experienced with your scanning. It's a bit like, whether you understand it in great detail or whether the first thing I do when I look at a scan is I just go, right, click, 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 click. And there'll be one page that goes boom and just smacks you in the face. And you're like, whoa, there's a lot of purples on that. Maybe we should look at the energetic immunity. Maybe you might want to support the animal's immune system in whichever way you feel fit, whether you have a nutritionist or whether you want to just add in probiotics, or whether you want to support in whatever way that you feel fit, or we just obviously always trust the scan. But it can often, and horses where they have a lot of emotional stuff, or like with the emotional treatment, there's always one, isn't there, generally? And interestingly, there's always one horse on every yard that mirrors the owner as well, generally.
Isn't that just fascinating? I mean, I think there's going to be people perhaps listening to this call who are going, oh, well, how can I get involved and start, working, with horses, cats, dogs, whatever it is, they're looking to do. I mean, just want to kind of reiterate that you actually have a lot of experience and qualifications with working with the equine industry already, didn't you?
Yes,
you didn't suddenly go, okay, I'm not going to do massage anymore and I'm going to start working with horses.
No. I mean, 30 years ago, I trained, went through all my exams, got my instructor's exams, had my own yard, trained, I was into classical dressage, trained riders, trained horses. So yeah, and then, as I say, subsequently, even when I was learning everything for my humans, I always did the animal courses for my own. And then you need insurance. You need to know. I can't say. You asked me, elbow. You need to know one end of a horse or dog from another. You need to know contraindications. You need to know how to approach you know, but also you need to understand, you know, the Veterinary Act of 1969 and things, so that you are insured. Because if you're dealing with someone's animal, there are certain things, and it's for the safety only of the safety of the animal. This is for the good of the animal, so that somebody doesn't go, oh yeah, you know, I've just got this thing, and oh look, it's all energy, and oh, we don't worry about that. No, you know, we have certain parameters where, you know, we have to have, you know, vet's permission to treat a horse. So we work alongside. And what I've noticed is when I first did sort of low-level laser for horses 20 years ago, and I said, please, may I do this horse? And all the vets would come back. So one of them was really, really open, and I used to do some work for him. Some of the others would come back and say, absolutely not. There is no evidence this works. In fact, it's going to make it worse. And now, 20 years later, all the vets are using lasers. So, but there has been a shift. There has been a shift, and the vets are really open. And I have a vet who said, I'm so interested, because she, again, had done bloods for this horse, absolutely perfect. And there's no reason this horse should look like she did. And the vet was like, I'd be so interested to see what your scan comes up with. And 5 infoceuticals within about, I don't know, a couple of days, the horse had gone from looking like she was going to be put down to looking brighter and healthier. So there are some brilliant open-minded vets now. But yes, I mean, I've done sort of, you know, herbal choices for animals and all sorts of add-ons. But as I say, depending on what that animal needs, you take your toolbox. Sometimes I turn up with a plan and the horse has a different idea, or the dog will have a completely different idea, and you have to adapt and be flexible. But the one consistent thing that I wouldn't do without is this. I mean, you know, 440 parameters measured in 10 seconds and 10 pages of information. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Why wouldn't you? Yeah.
Even if you don't, you know, you don't have to sort of buy, you know, I have people with 15 horses, they don't have to buy 5 infoceuticals for 15 horses every month. But you can scan every month, so that at the end of the year, you can sort of compare and see what's going on and what things keep turning up. So we're looking for patterns, you know, and we're looking for things, and sometimes we can avert things before they become. We know that things start on an energetic level. An energetic blockage can show as a physical, or vice versa. A physical scar tissue could actually stop an energetic blockage. We're looking for patterns, and we're looking to keep that horse or dog healthy. And in doing so, you know, it's just been, I don't know, I mean, I haven't had to even push it. It's just taken a little energy of its own, and sort of, you know.
I think, you know, people have always said to me the best way to market yourself is through word of mouth, isn't it?
Yeah, well, I think the animals sort of like, they don't know. I mean, there's so, I mean, I'll walk onto places and there's so much like, you know, what's she doing? What's she up to? And it's like, I'm not out to convince or convert anyone. I'm not like a, you know, knocking on the door sort of saying, you know, but let the animals show, and let the animals be your best you're the advocate for the animal, and they again are your sort of advertising, if you like. And so, I mean, some yards say, we don't know really what it is you do, but we just don't seem that the horses just seem, they're just healthier. They just haven't seen so many, you know, dips, that they constantly, you know, healthier. And it's about information being corrected. It's like if I was sort of, you know, driving you to Scotland and you just we were chatting, as I'm sure we would, we'd probably go off the wrong junction straight away, wouldn't we? But if you kept on saying, Helen, keep going, Helen left, Helen right, we'd get there in good time, efficiently, because you'd averted us sort of going off and doing a detour. And that's how I look at it. It's sometimes, you know, we get the big sort of like hoo-ha miracles, but often it can be so subtle, because we're just keeping you in that beautiful balance between homeostasis. But we're not coming here and we're not coming here. We're just staying in that beautiful space here where everything can perform at its best. And if you're performing at its best, your body isn't then not wasting, but your body isn't using energy to keep you on track. So that energy is there in the ring. You know, that's what it comes down to. That's what a lot of these competition horses are basically, you know, judged on. Are they performing? Have they got to go? So, you know, I think that it gives them the best chance to recover. and you let the dogs, when the best thing ever, I think, for me actually, is I think when a cat likes you. Because if someone says, oh, my cat doesn't like anybody, and then the cat comes up and and then it lies on the My Health, it still gives me a like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
You know, and if we do nothing else and the cat's like,
Yeah. I've actually
that's
seen
harder to please.
yeah.
I take it as that's
Yeah.
really, you know.
Yeah, I've been working with a lady in mostly her cat, to be honest, and it was a stray cat, so it's got a lot of history that we're not aware of. And it's, you know, we always talk to people about, you know, that we're kind of clearing those layers and peeling back. And the first time I went to meet the cat, as soon as I walked in, and it's like, and then started, you know, to sort of build that relationship. And now I get there and the cat knows, it must know when I'm due, because it's sitting there waiting for me.
I know.
Like,
I mean,
he's here, he's ready for you. And I'm like, I just think it's just so adorable.
It is the best. It's the best.
Cat. And he's like, and he'll lie there, and, you know, he's like, he just absolutely loves.
I mean, because dogs love everybody, but cats don't suffer fools, and it is rather special. But you know, and it's like anything. You know, you try and get your cat in a basket to the vet. You might do it once. Good luck trying to do it again and again, and you know. So even having a My Health on, you know, sort of, or the drops to help get that cat into a space where you have to get him or her to the vet. You know, there's just so many ways that we can make life a little easier.
Absolutely. So just I'd like to, you know, you've given us loads of information, loads of sort of some great top tips. I'd love to know, you know, just a couple of, you know, stories about, I think there was one that I think you called it the dangerous horse.
Oh yes. So that was just a horse who was in a very professional yard with very, very competent, experienced owners, you know, competing at advanced eventing. And he was, you know, very expensive. But pretty much they couldn't get in the stable with him. He couldn't go out with the other horses. He was what's termed as riggy, which is when you know, they're gelded and they sort of still show sort of slight stallion-like tendencies. And I was actually there on the yard to do something completely different. I was there to do my herbs, and the owner was working with me with the NES personally. She introduced me to the chiropractor who was there, and I mentioned, you know, I did obviously did NES with the animals. She goes, oh, I didn't know you could do it with the animals too. Could you swap and do the NES? And I said, yeah, sure, of course. It's in my bag at all times. And so obviously, often this happens the first time on any yard. You get sort of, there's physios or other people there. They'll all be sort of like watching, and you're like, oh. And so, you know, I went in and I scanned. And I think Liberator, you know, which is sort of childhood traumas and trauma upon trauma, it came up, and I just started working with the mind way off body, because, you know, this horse was like, you know, I wasn't going to be sort of, you know, a hero and go in there and go, oh, yeah, I can do this. So just started working very subtly off body, and immediately the chiropractor said, wow, you can see, you know, you can see how he can feel that he's responding to that. And, you know, everyone just sort of went, wow. And literally over a couple of minutes, you know, this horse went into a state of deep relaxation. His bottom lip was hanging, you know, which is something that the owner had never seen before. He was in a state of just being chilled out, and I hadn't had to touch him. So a dangerous horse, when someone says, oh, you know, yeah, you can't go. I have a lot of people say, you can't go in this horse, you know, stallion on box rest for, you know, 3 months. You can't go in there. So I'll treat them over the door, literally. You know, so that's the beauty of this, is that I don't have to put my life in danger, because, you know, it's a split second mistake, and, you know, you're all in trouble. So I treated him very sort of off body, and it was almost instant, the results. And so the owner bought the pharmaceuticals, and literally the horse became easy to manage. There was pain. We know there was pain there. The infoceuticals helped bring his body back into balance. We worked with the My Health client, subsequently bought a My Health. The horse is now out in a big herd of other horses, living his best life as a pet, you know, being petted, not as a pet, but, you know, being loved and petted, and, you know, having his owner sort of hanging off his neck saying he's scrumptious. And the thing is, the horse was so talented and so expensive, is that not that matters, but that because he was so talented, to her absolute credit, the owner did not want to, she didn't want him for themselves anymore because of the, you know, what was going on, but she wanted to sell him, but she knew that this sort of horse would end up that talented, either being beaten, you know, because of his behavior. He would go to the next yard and they'd be like, "Oh, just get on with it. He just needs to be sort of told what to do." And he was trying to, they're trying to tell you everything in the horse's behavior and the dog's behavior is a subtle message that we've missed. You know, we are giving a voice to the voiceless. And we are then able to balance that. You're not just going, okay, well, this is what he's saying. We're then able to go, well, and here's what the subconscious has come up with. This is what needs looking at today. This is what needs immediate attention. Well, here, let's balance that for you. How does that feel? Oh, that feels all right. And we don't have to go into, well, just tell me about that time you were dragged off away from your mum, beaten to get on the lorry in Ireland. You know, we don't need to go there. We can just go, well, let's take that trauma out of your field and correct the field so it's no longer a thing. So these animals blossom and become the animals that they always were, that they always should have been, and they can have the best lives with whatever job they're doing. You know, and we can't make miracles happen all the time. You know, some horses have to change career. They have to, you know, maybe they're really just unhappy because they don't like doing that job. Yeah, that's also something you have to say. But physically, or whatever we can do to take pain away from a prey animal. The prey animal is in pain, then he knows that the lion's going to have his, you know, he's a target. A prey animal in pain is a stressed animal. Don't care how sort of fancy pants they look. They know that if they were to be, you know, lined up, that they have to pretend I'm not in pain because I'm not a liability. I'm not the one at the back that's going to get sort of like, you know, caught up. So getting them out of pain, getting them relaxed, whatever we did, I don't even know what we did. And sometimes this is the thing, we're asking sort of something beyond our understanding in some ways. It's so, this whole quantum energy, it's like you can understand it to a degree, and then you realize how much you don't know, and then you go, well, I don't need to know. You know, I just go in there. The animal changes, that the dogs change, the cats change. They just have a better, I think they have a better life because of it, and we can't get it wrong. I mean, you know, we can do no harm with this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's always lovely when you get, you know, you get feedback from a client, you know, whether it be, you know, because you've been working with their, you know, with their animal or their pet, or, you know, or even with them. It's just so lovely to get that lovely positive feedback from someone, isn't it? And you kind of know that you've made a difference.
Oh yeah, I mean, I do. It's you don't do it for that reason. You do it, and you know that if no one ever, a lot of the grooms on the yard or the riders wouldn't have a clue, you know, and they're just sort of like, oh, we just leave her to do her thing, and she goes in and she comes out. But even if I'm like, it's just between me and you, you know, I don't mind. But when you do get those, oh my God, it's just it's the best, isn't it? You know, the cat's now sort of sitting on my lap, or my dog's, you know, not sort of you know, stressed out, or you know, also the, you know, just skin conditions and the dog's not eating, and this is after, as I say, after spending thousands and thousands of pounds trying to get to the bottom of it, and not you know, there's no expense spared. But as I say, sometimes they just miss whatever the cause of the cause. You're treating symptoms if you go and you're always chasing the symptoms, and sometimes they go, well, that doesn't make sense because that's his problem, so I expected to see that. And I'm like, well, that might, you know, that might be the end result of something that happens. Like, you know, if you have a crash on the M25, you can be in a traffic jam like 20 miles away on the A3. you know, it doesn't need to be where the problem is always. So that for me is just the safety belt. It's like belts and braces. It just sort of takes any guesswork out of it.
Yeah, and you know, the body will always you know, it will always tell you where it needs to be supported at that time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's the thing, isn't it? Because we go in, you know, and we go, you know, and it's like, I've got this, and this wrong with me, kind of like
Mhm.
fix me. Actually, that is, you know, that's just something that's manifested because of something else.
Yeah. And I think sometimes, I'm sure you'll know, you'll go in and you'll scan someone, and because of what they've said, you're like, ta-da, and there's the bingo button, and you're like, see, du-du-du-du-du-du, and it makes perfect sense. And then other times you look at the scan and you're like, oh, that wasn't what I expected. But trust it, go with it, and know that, like the Russian doll, if I've got a dog that's totally traumatized and shut down, and I go, come on then, like, we're going to go right to the core of what you've been protecting, and this dog's going, no, I've taken 10 years to put this shield up, you know, stay away because this is my protection. Take off. Do you remember Cracker Jack when they used to hold all the cabbages?
Yes, yeah.
Take off a couple of cabbages, make it easier to hold. Next week, take off another couple of cabbages. My analogies are terrible.
No, I love it. Not everyone's going to know what we're talking about, but I
No,
remember Practice Jack as a child. Yeah, yeah.
it's like when I try and say a saying, it starts off as one thing and ends up as a nursery rhyme. But anyway, sometimes the body isn't ready to go right to that core issue. And like the Russian doll, you know, trust the process. The body, that's what I love about this more than anything. It's like, we're not trying to prove how good it is and go, look, there you go, that's your thing, and here's the answer. We're saying, this is all that animal can cope with right now.
Yeah.
This is all it wants to deal with right now. And if we go and ignore that and go, well, I think I know better, and we know what your issue is because we think this, then we might as well not scan. So by scanning and listening and trusting the process, the body's gone, this is all I can cope with right now. Take this off me and boost my energy here, or help me here, or balance me here, or center me here. Okay, let's do that. Let's do the first round of pharmaceuticals. And you get this element of trust. And then the next time you go in, and you might get, there might be like one thing that comes up. And if you get there eventually, within 4 scans, you might go, ah, there you go. There you go, because now they're comfortable to go, okay, I give myself to the process, or I'm ready to go there, because it's like, you know, you've got chronic fatigue, and if I come and say, well, you just need to spring clean your house, it's not going to happen, is it? You're going to be in bed for 6 weeks. Not going to happen for me ever. But basically, you know, it might be that you just do one little thing, the thing that you see it, like if I did the cobwebs up there that I see every day, that might make my life better because that's the one thing I can cope with. If you come in and start, you know, sort of saying, well, we've got to sort of pull everything out and we need to sort of get, it's where you're at, it's where they're at, and it's always perfect.
Yeah,
you know?
I absolutely love those. I love all your analogies, because it's something that, you know, it kind of resonates with me. And I think it's sometimes, if you can, you know, I like to use analogies because it helps for me to explain how things could be for someone.
Yeah.
You know, and it's, you know, and we never know when we scan someone. You're absolutely right. Sometimes you go, oh yeah, see, here it is, da 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 da,
Yeah.
and other times you're right. It's like, oh, and
Yeah.
you, yeah.
But that's where also having this, being open. I have a client, I was working with a human client recently, and I said to her at the beginning, okay, what you've got, I said, we need 6 months. Are you committed? She's in, she's bought My Health, I see her every month. And we were looking at, and it's like, something's not shifting. Something's really, and I was like, I would expect for knowing what happens is when you've taken the pharmaceuticals for 3 months, if something's coming up again, it's something external, it's something environmental, it's something I'm missing. So I have a brilliant support network of people that I refer on to that do things completely different to me. And I said, right, look, we're not going to stop, but I just want you to go and see, you know, this lady. And she came back and she went, oh yeah, you know, this was like the worst she's ever seen, da 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 da. And then we scanned again, and it was like boom, shifted, you know. So often, even if it's like, it's just pointing out that, you know, that your body's not coping with EMF, so that keeps coming up. And you look at the environment, well, what can we do? Turn the router off overnight, or, you know, move your dog away from the router. If your cat is sleeping in the utility at night with the washing machine on and the dishwasher on and the tumble dryer on and the Wi-Fi router, I mean, actually cats are a bit sort of like, they like that stuff, don't they, sometimes? But you know what I'm saying, if they can't get away, or if your dog is in the utility and he's got your Wi-Fi router and he's got all the fuse box, and you know, it's like, if we are not giving them the choice to, like in nature, they would go where there's sort of, you know, harmony. They would go and sleep under a bush, and they would go and poo over there. They would go there when they need to heal, and they would go there when they need to die. But if we are locking our animals in an unnatural environment, like with horses in, you know, 10 foot by 12 foot, 24 hours a day, really, if that happens to be on a grid where you've got, you know, a router coming in and you know, so if that is showing in the EMFs, then that's not always something only for NES. That's something where we say, right, okay, I'm just giving you this information. What you do with it, it's up to you. I have suggestions, but it's like, now you know, you have a choice. And it might tell you why every horse in that stable is not thriving. You know, and you know, so basically that's what I love about it. It's not the answer to everything, and it's not the only thing, but it's a beautiful way of going, you can tell this professional that this is what I've seen, or you don't need to tell them anything, you just turn up. But this is why I feel that, you know, as I say, it's not the answer to everything, but it gives you a really good idea. And it's so consistent. If clients go, oh, I'm not, you know, I'm not buying those pharmaceuticals, and I scan them again, I'm like, well, same as last time, isn't it? So do you want to, you know, it's like it doesn't veer, you know. It's like, well, that was your issue then, it's your issue now. So I do feel that it gives us just a very sort of good understanding of if it's the diet or the environment. And then, as I say, you've got nutritionists for that, you've got people that will help the environment, you've got people that will, you know, that can do sort of emotional work if they don't want to go down it as a complete route. Or a lot of my clients are therapists, you know, and they'll use it with their, you know, clients too. So it's something that they will utilize and go, now I've got this understanding. The work that I do, they do, like, you know, shamanic healing, they can go off down there, and then like, now I know where to focus. Wow. And then we look at the scans, and I'm like, no, that's clearly you're good at what you do, because that's all shifted. So now we can focus on this bit that your work doesn't touch so well. Do you see what I mean? So there's a beautiful sort of recipe for everybody in there somewhere.
Helen, I just love, I'm going to bring this call to an end in a moment, but I just want to say I love your energy. I mean, always loved your energy, you know, even when you were, you know, before you sort of, you know, moved into the sort of more equine marketplace, you know, your passion for helping your clients is just incredible. And you know, you just have so much, you know, love and commitment to share with people, and constantly striving to always be better and better and better, and always, you know, you're definitely an inquirer, aren't you? Always question.
Yeah, maybe. I have you on speed dial, don't I, Bells?
But you know what? It's like, I think I see your number come up and think, yep, but there's Helen again. You know, what's she got for me today? But you know, I'm
like, hi, Helen, not urgent, but
I know it's your day off, but
yes.
But in all seriousness, you know, it's just so lovely to see, you know, where you are now to where you were a few years ago, and how things have changed for you. And you know, you're so much happier.
Yeah.
And you're doing what you love to do.
Isn't it funny that a combination of COVID and lockdown, and even you know, when they put the price of the scanners down, making them so, I mean, nobody, if you buy a Costa coffee twice a week, you can get yourself a scanner in a couple of weeks. You know, there's no excuse. And then you've got access to my thousands of pounds worth of software. If you never, you know, there's stuff where you can sign up as a client. You've got access to the choice point course, to the imprinted music, to the books, to the webinars. It's a no-brainer. And I think all of what you said is right, but it's like, the choice points, you know, that we talk about, it's like, God, if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't be doing this now, you know. And actually you're right, because I had a very successful human clinic, and I had people phoning up saying, oh, will you come and do a scalar treatment on a horse? And I'm like, I actually can't get the 5 hours I need to 2 hours that, you know, I couldn't do it. And so whatever happened, that sort of element of events with sort of lockdown and this and that and all the rest of it, and being able to sort of go, well, there's no, I mean, the clinic I actually closed down about a year before COVID anyway, because this was just, you know, something I enjoyed more than, you know, being tied to that clinic. And I didn't want to be massaging for, I didn't want to be sort of getting too old to be jumping up, like stretching big guys' hamstrings, you know. You know, and with the animals, less is more. You know, I did sports massage for horses about 20 years ago for about 2 weeks, and I was like, this is really hard work. But the energy work is quite profound, and less is more. All of the things that have enabled us, like, to be talking now, you know, they weren't around 10 years really. They were, but I couldn't, you know, I was trying to, it's like sort of trying to have a family Skype call at Christmas, like, hello, you know, everything has changed and the world has changed. And we take the best bits and go, actually, this is going to be utilised, that there is no reason that every yard or every animal owner should have one of these.
Yeah.
You know,
I totally agree. Well, I would, yeah. And you know, yeah. And the unique thing is that, you know, you can help anyone in any part of the globe.
Yeah, at any time. And I'm a night owl. I keep trying to go to bed earlier, but I do.
We need to work on your day and night and your circadian rhythm, don't we?
Well, I think that might be Harry's new device coming out. So I noticed that.
Get your name down for that one. Absolutely, yeah. So Helen, thank you so much. Obviously, I know you've taken time out of your schedule, you know, to be here and to, you know, to record this call with us. So I really appreciate, you know, your time, your commitment, your boundless energy, and just for, you know, for sharing. And, you know, I'm just really want to reiterate, I'm just absolutely in awe of how you've changed, you know. I mean, you literally, everything in your life, you know, from the outsider looking in, is like, well, you're just a different person now, you know. You've got your priorities and how you want to live your life have changed.
I think work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I was work, because especially when I had the clinic at home, I would work till 10 o'clock at night. I'd work, my clients would know I was home. They'd drive past me. I lived on a hill. They'd drive past. Oh, your car's there. Oh, can I come in and see? I'm like, and I'm like, I have had terrible boundaries, course of pharmaceuticals and, you know, skin. But basically, I found it very hard to say no, you know, when I had the clinic, and I had no sort of open, and because I worked from home. This, you know, I've got a Zoom call. I said to the lady, I'm going to take the dogs for a walk after this, and I've got a Zoom call with the new NES client after this. It's basically on my terms. It fits in with my lifestyle. I can take a day off and go off and, you know, do what I want to do. And I've embraced it and run with it. And it hasn't felt like a change. It's just felt like we've just, I say yes to what I want to do, and I thoroughly enjoy it. So thank you for giving me the opportunity to do this. I know it's taken a while to get us both sort of sat here, but
two busy ladies, aren't we? Yeah. Anyway, Helen, thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I will, look forward to welcoming you back onto another call at a future date.
Fabulous. All right. Thanks, Helen. Take care.